Joining me now, a staunch supporter and friend of former President Donald Trump, the president of the UFC, Dana White. Dana, good to see you again. How you doing?
I'm awesome. Thanks for having me.
Last time many people saw you, you were at the RNC on the stage, and it was you, not the First Lady, not his kids, that introduced the former President of the United States. And it came at a time when he had just had an attempt on his life. I wonder what that experience was like for you, and what has been the reaction to you being in that very political space?
Yeah, no, it was obviously I was very honored, and the family was very supportive of me being the person to introduce him. So yeah, it was an honor. And the response to me has been incredible. People I haven't talked to in 10, 15 years, everybody's reaching out to me and obviously responding on the speech.
You've known him for decades, and many people who are pundits and talking about it, they were looking at that assassination attempt and they were expecting it to change who he was as a person. When you spoke to him, did you see any change or reaction about what that experience was like for him to have an attempt on his life?
No, and you're so right. I mean, I've known people that have had those type of experiences before, and it definitely changed them. This is the most resilient human being I've ever seen, and you know, I was flying to Italy when it happened, and I was so freaked out. But I was freaked out by it. How he couldn't be, how he couldn't be, like you said, changed by this attempt on his life. He's one of the strongest, most resilient human beings that I've ever met in my life. And everybody thinks they're a tough guy until it's time to do tough guy things. The way that he reacted to that attempt on his life was, my respect level has gone even higher for him, the way he handled that. And as far as the American people, everybody should be outraged that this happened to him. If it happened to Clinton, if it happened to Obama, if it happened to Bush, if it happened to, Biden, every American should be enraged by an attempt on a former or sitting president's life. And the way that he handled it, I have so much respect for him.
Well, Secret Service's director has resigned as a result of the outrage that is collective bipartisanly. But there were many who thought that it would change his approach to politics and improve the approach he would take. But this campaign has already gotten pretty nasty. I think people expected it to get nasty now that there is a new head of that Democratic ticket. It's the Vice President, Kamala Harris. You have joked before that politics is way nastier than sports or the UFC. But what we're seeing, I mean, there's a labeling of the vice president as a DEI hire. You yourself have prided yourself on giving both men and women opportunities at your organization. What do you think of this message that attacks the race and gender of an opponent?
Yeah, I don't judge people by their politics and who they vote for or any of that stuff. And listen, I don't know Kamala. She seems like she's a nice person. I have nothing against her whatsoever. And like I said, I'm not political, but do I think that she is fit for the job? I do not, personally.
But it's not necessarily about the policy. It's the approach to attacking one. I mean, I know that you are very well versed in what it's like to have a matchup, and people are going to go at each other for the sake of the sport and entertainment. But when it comes to attacks, particularly, I mean, there was that quote from J.D. Vance, who is his running mate, talking about childless cat ladies. I mean, these are not things that are in line with enveloping perhaps women into the fold, which is something you have always stood for, you say, in your sport. Why shouldn't that be the same in politics?
Yeah, well, listen, politics are the most disgusting, nasty. It's atrocious what is said in politics, and the things that are being said on one side are being said on the other side too, about Trump and about his choice for vice president. It goes both ways. This isn't like, oh my God, look what's being said about Kamala. It goes both ways. They're both saying it. And like you said, it's already heated up and gotten nasty. And like you said earlier, it's only going to get nastier. That's politics. It is what it is. And it definitely goes both ways.
I don't know that it's going both ways to have the childless cat lady comment or a DEI hire. Who's calling you think that Vice President Kamala Harris is calling J.D. Vance a DEI hire, Dana? Come on.
But either way, she's going to say other nasty stuff about both of them. It goes both ways. And as voters, what we need to do is cut through all the BS, and you have to look at who do you think is best fit to run the country for the next 4 years. That is our job as voters. All of this stuff is a bunch of nasty BS, all of it. Who's best fit to run the country? You as a voter, that's what you need to decide. Not, oh my God, he said this, and oh my God, she said that. There's going to be a lot of that over the next several months. Cut through, and especially the media. Cut through all the BS that the media on both sides. You guys are really bad. Fox is bad. Everybody's bad. Cut through the BS and vote for who you think is the most fit to run the country. That's our job as voters.
Well, look, I don't wear pearls. I don't pretend to clutch them and pretend that I'm shocked by every nasty insult that is waged against another person. But I think your point, though, about the American people wanting to know who's best for the country, this is the issue. When people are focusing not on policy positions, but personal attacks that have nothing to do with what voters want to hear about, that detracts from the experience of voters making a decision, and that's the problem. And I'm going to just know when you say you guys are terrible, you clearly don't mean Laura Coates. But Dana.
The forgotten part of
my fellow citizens.
It is strong.
It's my duty to report
the true problems of our nation.
Is vigorously developed, this resource will be of great benefit.
Where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause.
I will be eternally grateful for your support.